first time that I'm sharing my story in front of a large crowd like you all. So, forgive me if I start to cry. Before I tell you our story, I just wanted you to know that when we first learned the devastating news, we decided to take this journey on as superheroes. As you listen now, you will hear me talk about missions that had to be conquered and villains that had to be defeated. We had to change the medical terminology so our son could understand what was going to happen and why it was happening. Our son's name is Danny, but we refer to him as Little Danny, Super D, and Dan the Man, as he truly is the man. Danny is a 5-year-old energetic little boy who loves to play outside with his super sisters and cousins. He loves basketball and swimming. He loves dancing the floss, doing the dab, and bobbing along to hip-hop music. And his idols are Bruno Mars and John Cena. By the end of this story, you will all learn, know, and love a real superhero. Beginning in May 2017, Danny began getting nauseous and vomiting almost every morning. After getting sick in the morning, he would go about his day like normal. After multiple visits to the pediatrician, it was believed that he had a GI issue, such as reflux. He was prescribed a medicine. After weeks of taking the medication, more trips followed to the pediatrician. Nothing changed. He then had to get blood work. Upper endoscopy scope were completed. All tests came back with normal results. Knowing our little boy, we knew something was not right. Danny's GI doctor also did not feel that our little man was right. He ordered a brain MRI to be completed at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. The MRI was conducted on Tuesday, July 25th, 2017, just 4 days before Dan the Man's 4th birthday. The results that followed was one of the most difficult and heart-wrenching news to hear and accept. Our little Danny had a large mass the size of a softball at the base of his brain near his cerebellum. This was why he was vomiting for so long. The tumor needed to be removed and quickly. Danny was going to be the first case the very next day. On Wednesday, July 26, 2017, I handed my baby boy to the brain surgeon and I begged him to bring him back to me. After 10 grueling hours of sedation, surgery preparation, the surgery itself, and a follow-up MRI to verify removal, the entire tumor was removed. This was amazing news. The mass was immediately sent to pathology for analysis. On Friday, July 28, 2017, one day before his 4th birthday, our worst nightmare was told to us. Little Danny was diagnosed with a cancerous brain tumor called medulloblastoma. We were told that we had 30 days to decide on a treatment plan for our son. How do you even comprehend all of this when all you want to do is hug him and go home? Doctors told us that medulloblastoma moves fast, especially to areas of the brain and spine, and they need to hit it hard. CHOP works closely with St. Jude Research Hospital, and it was encouraged to consult with them. Once again, the removed tumor was sent to St. Jude, in which it came back with the same diagnosis. Not only that day would we be telling our son that we had to remain in the hospital because of the boo-boo in his brain, but that his 4th birthday party would be canceled as well. That night, Danny's CHOP ICU nurses decorated his room with superheroes, and the Child Life staff showered him with a birthday cake and presents. Looking at all the superheroes on his hospital walls, and then looking down at our little boy, I decided that we were going to fight harder than any superhero he looked up to. Our baby boy was going to transform into a real-life superhero and fight the cancer villain with all the power and strength that he had. Danny began his treatment 1 month after brain surgery. For the next 30 days, we would travel to CHOP every day to begin our mission to defeat Radiation Man. Danny would be getting radiation beams on his brain and spine. This complete process took hours. Danny would have to have anesthesia, or as he calls it, his sleeping medicine, every day for 30 days. This means he could not eat or drink anything until after radiation session was completed. Not everything always goes perfectly down at the hospital. There were days that Danny had to wait 8 or more hours to eat or drink anything. Imagine yourself waiting that long to eat or drink and how you would feel. On October 11, 2017 was the happiest days of our lives. Surrounded by a Super D Avenger squad, Dan the Man completed his last dose of brain and spine radiation. He rang a special bell in the waiting room of University of Penn Hospital. There was not a dry eye in the entire waiting room. Dan the Man completed his second mission. Danny had only 1 month to recharge before his next mission. During this time, Danny lost all of his hair due to the radiation and was extremely tired and had no appetite. He began losing more and more weight. These and countless more are side effects of proton radiation. Imagine being so young and having lasers shooting in your brain and spine. Imagine what it can do to your cognitive and your everyday life. That year, Danny spent Thanksgiving lying on my lap. That Thanksgiving weekend, Danny gained some strength to attend his first Eagles game with his daddy and uncles. The tickets were provided by CHOP. Dan the Man was allowed to walk through the Eagles tunnel like a real superhero. He even got to meet the president of the Eagles and was a few rows back from the players. We did watch the Super Bowl in the hospital. And so I knew that the Eagles were going to win just because we went to the Eagles and then we were in the hospital for the Super Bowl and the parade. So I just want some side note on that. The game that got us all powered up to complete his next mission, Chemotherapy Man. He would then endure 4 cycles of chemotherapy for the next 4 months. If we did not do the research study with St. Jude, Danny would have to endure 9 cycles of chemotherapy. No one prepares you for what the chemotherapy does to your little boy. Although the drugs are fighting the cancer villains, at the same time it is destroying all the power and strength that these kids have left. These powerful drugs are essential, but they cause lifetime side effects. Loss of appetite, vomiting, no immune system to fight illnesses, and even complete hearing loss. Chemotherapy also requires many days and nights away from home and quarantine in a hospital room. Dan the Man's school, playdates, playing sports, and even sitting on Santa would be put on hold in fear of germs and catching something he could not fight. During Super D's first cycle, the oncology team approached us about placing a feeding tube in Danny's nose called an NG tube due to his increased weight loss. This was a visible tube that was placed in his nose, and then we fed him through a medical pole and liquids. This part of the treatment broke me. It was the visible sign to me that my baby boy had cancer. I didn't care that he lost his hair, but having to feed him through a tube hooked up to a medical pole in our home destroyed me. I remember getting angry and saying he should be playing basketball, not eating through a tube. However, I had to pick myself up. Danny was the one enduring the horrific treatment. I had to recharge and be his strength and keep fighting. The feeding tube never stopped him though. He never let his fun get in the way of it, and his friends and family all saw Danny with a cool tattoo, not a feeding tube. Danny completed his last round of chemotherapy in March of 2018. It was yet another mission completed with his family waiting for him at home to celebrate. After several tests that had to be completed, Dan the Man was finally done with his treatment. I am proud to stand here in front of you all and say my baby boy, our Super D, is a survivor of cancer at the age of 5. Although Danny will be a lifetime patient at CHOP and will endure long-term side effects of the brain tumor, radiation, and chemotherapy, he is here with us on this stage. From our Super D family to yours, we thank you for coming here tonight to raise awareness and funds for pediatric cancer. These children fighting the cancer villain are too young and fragile to voice their opinions. Please be their voice. Support childhood cancer in any way you can. Only 4% of government funding goes to pediatric cancer. Events like this one tonight helps children in more ways than you will ever know. You have proof right here that your kindness and generosity goes a long way. Thank you all for coming tonight.